Hey guys, it's BigJackFilms here. Hey guys, it's BigJackFilms here, and welcome to part 3 of our 5-part retrospective of the King's Gauntlet for the King Kong reviews. And I'm not gonna lie when I say part 3 is probably one of our longest episodes and the most challenging to make outside of the final chapter. This one was another interesting fix because we actually started filming this thing at Universal Studios Florida about a year ago from now, by the time you see this recording. On top of that, pickups and reshoots with the wonderfully talented ALLANNA Roses. If you guys want to go check out her Instagram, link down below. But once again, a huge thank you to our resources, our cast and crew, some of our affiliates at Universal Studios, and a major thank you to our big supporters on Patreon. If you guys want to go support our channel, just $1 more will get you early access to all of our content as well as other special features. Thank you so much for watching part 3. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and enjoy the show. The following is a fan-based video review under fair use. King Kong theme parks and attractions are owned by Universal Theme Parks, Universal Pictures, and Universal Creative. Please support the official release and theme park attendance.
Previously on this ripoff of Some Jerk with a Camera.
Damn it! They closed down Terminator 2 3D for a Jason Bourne ride!
Fuck you, asshole.
And now back to Some Jackass with a Canadian.
The banners in front of the ride were also replaced the following year. While one of the banners still survives in the possession of one of the park's original workers, as seen during this 20th anniversary party, the original banners with lower contrast have yet to surface during the ride's first year. And Kong was not the only disastrous ride to have shitty openings. That also included the likes of Earthquake and Jaws as well, which maybe someday I'll talk about in the future. Surprisingly enough, the only one that actually stayed in operation the whole frickin' year of its opening was the E.T. adventure, which ran pretty smoothly given it was Steven Spielberg at the helm and producing that damn ride. I mean, fuck, years later, Michael Jackson would come to visit that ride, and actually state to be his favorite ride in the entire park. By 1991, Kongfrontation became the core ride at the park and was a huge hit throughout the decade. There were even talks to build a third version of the attraction in the rumored Universal Studios UK at the time, but was later cancelled due to being unable to obtain the land via environmental complaints, which as a tree hugger myself, I can side with. Though in recent years, has kinda had a bit of a resurgence for the UK, so who knows, maybe we'll get more Universal Studios worldwide theme parks someday. I'm still waiting for Universal Studios Canada. What the hell, guys?
Still cold as shit.
Look, Brad, I don't care if we just have Canada's Wonderland. Just giving it to Paramount, adding movie rides, and slapping a globe in the park doesn't count.
You saw it in Top Gun, the movie. Now you can do it at Paramount Canada's Wonderland. On a wild new jet coaster that shatters the thrill barrier. Top Gun, now flying at Paramount Canada's Wonderland, where the magic of the movies meets the thrills of a lifetime.
Get season pass tickets to the adrenaline rush of the summer at the park or Ticketmaster.
But with Kongfrontation, despite some shutdowns here and there, it brought in many guests, myself included in 1998 and 2002. And wait times would be maxed at almost 100 minutes, as long as the original Kong's runtime. That's how popular Kongfrontation was, to the point of Universal's re-interest in a remake starting to reheat in the early 90s, with the possible concept of using the ride's animatronics as a main effects piece, building sets around the attraction to cut costs. This never came to pass as a production, and the ride, much like the Encounter, was used for press films and even scenes for TV shows like the 1993 soap opera series Loving with actress Lisa Paluzzo in the Bridge Cog's hands with Max Steiner's music playing out. It showcases in a way how the animatronics could have been used more in a film and TV productions, which was one of the main functions of the park back in its original concepts.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here.
You've contributed so generously to good causes, the least I could do.
Another fun piece about the ride was its use as a maze during Halloween Horror Nights with Tramway of Doom in 1992 and the Ooze Zone in 2001, where guests could walk in other parts of the attraction at street level, giving a new POV of the Kong animatronics. The ride endured much success in the 90s and became a fan favorite.
Everyone is roaring about King Kong.
It was humongous. It was as big as the whole building. The way they were shooting at him, the fire. Throw was awesome.
By the 90s, the two Kong attractions were so popular that there were copies of them all over the world with lower qualities. Most notably in circuses, but the most infamous is at Germany's Phantasialand, with sort of a great movie ride ripoff, but showcases not just a ripoff of Jaws, but also Kongfrontation. Despite it being a very stiff animatronic, it's a nice nod to the Florida and Hollywood attractions respectively. And give them credit, they tried their best. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time a major attraction at Universal would get ripped off. There's an infamous dinosaur world somewhere that has animatronics that you swear Stan Winston sculpted. Hell, there's even rip-offs of the latest Kong attractions that try to cash in on 360 3D along with Reign of Kong. Can you say subtle? There's also this 3D attraction I've just recently discovered called Jurassic War. Kinda subtle, guys. Which showcases a Kong-type giant gorilla fighting dinosaurs. I don't know much about it other than it's in other theme parks in other parts of the world, but it's something I thought I'd bring up. Hell, traveling to Florida, we came across this thing. At some point, I will cover it. I still to this day remember the smell, its terrors, and loudness from the tram rider, and the Kongs themselves, being one of my first major exposures to the character.
Oh no! Here he is! That's Kong!
Sure, I saw the original film and King Kong Lives first, but this is what brought out the true fear of Hollywood's biggest on-screen monster. Even the photo op Kong was enough to back me off, where guests could take pictures in the giant ape's hand in the iconic gift shop Safari Outfitters. Which I should probably finally give more detail on. Located in the New York backlot in between Kongfrontation's exit and the massive New York arcade was Safari Outfitters, a gift shop that mostly housed all Kongfrontation merchandise. And it was glorious, from the set design replicating the Skull Island jungles, the photo op Kong bust, which we'll get to in a sec, to the vast amount of different types of merchandise. As a Kong fan myself, I would have nutted at the chance of looking at every single product this gift shop had to offer. They did have the same amount of merchandise in Hollywood with the photo op Kong bust there at the Castle Theater, but that didn't last too long. The photo ops were so popular that they gave birth to copycats all over the world. Some range in quality from okay to oof. Even on holiday events, the Kong bust got a giant-ass Santa hat to put on his head. And this was a tradition that goes even all the way back to the King Kong encounter in Hollywood, where during the holiday season, the giant mechanical Kong would be given a full Santa suit, and the set would be dressed with snow, decorations, and Kong himself would actually ho-ho-ho like Santa Claus. That's really creepy. Hashtag Santa Kong is real. Though if you must know how much merchandise they put out, well... I was always in awe by the full-size Kong photo op bust. And while on my 2 trips I did pass by it and visit the gift shop, I was personally too scared to take a picture with him. And regret is still a haunting factor for me, given the ride unfortunately closed on September 8th, 2002. For many many park goers, this was not only a massive shock, but a heartbreaking disappointment. And the fact that the closure came out of nowhere didn't really give many people prep time to say goodbye. This was the crown jewel of the Florida park, and to see it go away out of frickin' nowhere was really upsetting. Though its reasons are pretty obvious. One was the cost-effective measure of the park and the ride itself, among many other issues such as franchise fatigue, the Mummy being a huge hit and needing a new ride space for the park, and other matters regarding politics and the New York culture at the time. All played a part in the ride's final days of operation. To mind you, a loving farewell tribute to the ride where bananas were given out as a salute, similar to what people sometimes do at Harry Potter.
I think you guys woke up Kong, ladies and gentlemen.
And signs directing people to the ride's final days of operation, which I myself proudly own after a quick cheap win on eBay. This is one of my proudest pieces as a Kong fan and of the ride itself, and includes signed pieces from guests saying goodbye to Kong. To this day, I wish I had one more chance to experience the ride, and while I love Reign of Kong, I still miss the original.
Oh, the dramatic irony. The irony of it all. Oh, the irony. Look at you, Universal. You're absolutely wonderful. You are just jabbing me in the chest.
I would have enjoyed this interview a lot more if I had gotten my cup of coffee!
I haven't stepped back on the park in over 5 years since the pandemic. The last time this time gap occurred was from 2000 to 2015. During that 15-year gap, the original Kongfrontation, Alfred Hitchcock, The Art of Making Movies, and The Fantastic World of Hanna-Barbera all closed in along with the other iconic classic attractions, even past my previous visits on this channel, with Beetlejuice, Barney, Terminator 2, and even Fievel's Playland all closed down. There's even talk of the Simpsons ride closing soon, given the acquisition of Disney, and not wanting to pay any more royalties. I know I brought this up in my Ready Player One review, but it would have benefited from combining the old and the new with a ride based on that movie that also pays homages to the original Back to the Future ride, which closed in 2007. However, rumors stating that actually a Pokemon attraction might be coming here. Fitting, given Super Nintendo World is going to open at the Epic Universe theme park, and there's rumors of a Legend of Zelda area in the now closed Lost Continent at Islands of Adventure.
Oh, sweet! I'm sure Brad's gonna love that.
Bring me down there, asshole.
Well, Brad, somebody's gotta keep an eye on our place while Carl builds the new FTT.
Get me the hell out of here.
Bill Murray called for an early spring. You should be fine.
Excuse me, where's everybody going?
Universal Studios. Cha-ching.
I had showered and shaved and hit the clubs. That's really helpful.
But with more rides replaced, the rarer Kongfrontation's presence becomes. Hell, my first visit to the park was halfway through the ride's life cycle in 1998, when the infamous repurple furbishment took place, which added purple darker lighting to Kong, lit yellow eyes, and limited his movements, along with the ride's elements being slashed in costs. When the ride closed to make way for the equally impressive Revenge of the Mummy roller coaster, check out my thoughts on that in Mummy Month, the first order of business was to clear out the stage, meaning most of the sets were torn down and destroyed, and vehicles and props retired from the ride's enclosures. Even to this day, the bloody pre-show with Kong on the Loose by WWOR News has yet to surface online, which is not fair, given the pre-shows for Jaws, Back to the Future, and even the original King Kong Encounter show made it online.
I had to check there for a second.
I tried to make an appointment for this episode to see about acquiring access to Universal Orlando's archives, and unfortunately they declined any interview or helping us out, redirecting us to other theme park channels, which, while great content, feels like a lazy response from park management. Hopefully someday, with the passage of time, this pre-show and the audio from the ride will come to light online. It's already started with one of the Kongfrontation scripts being sent out to private groups on Facebook.
We've got a tram down here. I repeat, there is a tram in imminent danger.
They know we're here. We've got a helicopter escort overhead. We're going to be all right.
And speaking of the script, I gotta give huge credit to the entire cast and crew of Kongfrontation for its 12-year run. They were acting their asses off, both behind the scenes and acting as the tram drivers. With the limited lines and action set pieces they had, they did a bang-up job, and every one of them just felt like a family. In fact, I kinda resent them because this would have been my dream job working at Universal. So to the entire cast and crew of that ride, y'all have my respect. With that said, when it comes to pre-prep, one of the biggest remaining parts of Kongfrontation is, believe it or not, the parking lot. Yeah, odd. Why the hell is the parking lot so damn important? Well, for one thing, its main attention is the still usage of the Kongfrontation marquee design placed on the lot's identifying signs with the bright yellow highlights and Kong himself. Plus, interesting enough, the elevators for each lot still using the same voice controls.
You are in the King Kong section, rows 507 through 512, going down. The doors are closing. Please stand clear.
Now, while all the lots that bear the classic rides from Jaws and E.T. still survive with their own nostalgic vibes, the biggest discovery I was unaware of for Kong was the speakers. Why is that? Because to this day, it still plays the audio from the ride's story and tone. And I'm surprised to this day not many fans have brought this up. Not only do you hear Kong's roar, but a sense of a jungle ambience, and even native drums and chants, indicating this is the tone of what the ride's version of Skull Island would have been like. How about that?
Holy mackerel, what a show!
While some of Skull Island was in the gift shop at the time with bamboo walling echoing the native wall, with safari outfitters, with the palm trees and greenery outside, you do get the feeling of the island's environment in the parking lot. It really brought me back a bit and gave me that Kongfrontation feel for a moment, which I honestly appreciate Universal keeping all this time.
So I know it's kind of weird to focus on a parking lot, but given the fact there's a lot of Kong stuff that I didn't know that was in there, it's kind of cool that we were able to grab that when we could, because we don't know how long this version of King Kong is going to be around.
But then we get to the three key pieces of the attraction, with King Kong himself. And sadly to say, in the case of the two Kong animatronics, they have unfortunately bit the dust entirely. With the fact that both were stripped and torn apart to be recycled for other attractions, which is common practice for the park given the sharks from Jaws also met the same fate, with one of the shark's core mechanical bodies being turned into a telescope in Diagon Alley. Not even the head survived this deconstruction, though rumors suggested one of the heads to be in a crate at the lower launch pad of the mummy.
Is he supposed to look like that?
No, I've never seen a mummy look like this before. He's still
juicy.
But it's more than likely just a rumor. Though for 20 years it gave birth to the concept that the mummy stage is actually haunted.
It's a curse. It's a curse. It's a curse. Beware of the curse!
Not for Imhotep himself, but for Kong himself, with the banana breath smell lingering in the building for years, suggesting the fun concept that the ghost of Kong wanders the stage. Hey, maybe they'll make that a movie.
Who are you gonna call? Someone else.
Still, the loss of the animatronics was a major bum for fans, though some folks in online forums claim to have pieces from the beast, with the story that some of the ape's parts were sold on eBay after the ride closed. It wouldn't surprise me since the same thing happened to both Jaws and the recently closed Splash Mountain at Disneyland, where jars of water were sold from the ride? What the hell is wrong with you people? It's the Song of the South ride, not Belle Delphine! You people are fucking sick! One of those collectors actually reached out to me, showcasing a pellet of fur from one of the Kong models, stating it to smell of nothing but bananas and burning propane, which indicates a lot of truth on the piece being from the giant ape. While the ride closed down for good, the following month, guests could still visit the Safari Outfitters gift shop and take one last chance photo with the King Kong photo op. This piece, unlike the other Kong figures, has been my most sought after in the hunt because of its structural differences and more likely survival. While the two show Kongs were made from steel and mechanics, the photo op was basically a full-scale bust built from a plywood frame, a fiberglass skin molded shell, and covered in fur that lasted in Safari Outfitters for over a decade and during the ride's demolition, being the last main piece taken out of the attraction. Its whereabouts, however, to where it is still unknown compared to the others, and for over a decade since the closure of Jaws, I began a hunt to find it.
This warrants an investigation.
And like all good mysteries, the first clues can be found and with the suspects at the scene of the crime. Alright, Mr. Pitt, we know the Moneyball game you're playing. Where's the photo op?
What the fuck are you talking about, man?
Shit. Alright, Patient J, the gig is up. You're the most likely suspect. Where'd you put the bust?
Me? I was right here. Who did you leave him with? Your people?
Okay, I'm getting nowhere with this. Batman, take care of him. Okay, Mr. Lecter, I know you were upset that you weren't invited to Halloween Horror Nights, but come on, you know where the bust is!
Memory agent Jack is what I have instead of a view.
Oh my god, you don't know where it is either.
They still have Zorro.
Nope, that show ended in 2011. You get stuck with Michael Bay!
You can't escape Megatron. What a bitchin' guy he is.
I cannot believe you signed up for that, Hopkins. The first set of clues came from about 7 years ago, when it was rumored to be placed in a crate outside of the stage, where it was rumored to rot away from termites. However, that rumor is kind of based on a theory, and no real testimonies have come out on that. This was also the possible manifestation of the rumored headpiece in the launch pad of the Mummy. Others say a private owner has it, but the most common rumor is that it resides in a storage somewhere in Orlando. One rumor is a soundstage that was once used for film and TV productions keep most of their pieces, and which can be the case, but depends on the space. But the most common word of mouth is of an off-unit storage facility on the park's property, which lately park workers have spoken out about this supposed storage facility.
Dog's on the loose! Dog is escaped! He's on the loose!
The only problem is that not many know of its location. Why? Because believe it or not, it's kept tight-lipped, with lock and key. However, there are some who are here to help. We made a quick little pit stop at a local seafood restaurant to meet up with one of our Universal Studios affiliates, who wishes to remain anonymous for now, but is able to give us some clues on where some of the stuff may be kept. I'm trying to find whatever's left of Kongfrontation. I know the two animatronics were just scrapped, recycled, thrown, right? But I've heard for years, 20-something years, the photo op is somewhere. That's apparent because it was made out of plywood and fiberglass and...
So, there have been a couple things.
While most of the theories are pretty much what we already know so far, our lead's only potential location was unfortunately destroyed because a few months before visiting Universal, a massive fire burnt down a huge storage facility, which was co-owned by Universal. So what was this whole place that was apparently...
So it was a different company that stored different things. One of the things that they apparently stored were entertainment things from special events like Halloween markets. And they had fireworks there, which they found now were illegally stored there. I haven't heard what started it, but several employees who work for Universal also worked there, and pretty much destroyed the place. 5 people died. Last I heard, the 6th person was in the hospital.
Orange County District 3 Commissioner Myra Uribe says the address located was registered only to store furniture.
Would need a permit, and it would be considered a high priority safety.
So the fireworks went off.
The commissioner says if the business did have a permit, it would have been inspected every 6 months rather than every 2 to 3 years.
We don't have a record of them, and we don't have a record of any firework storage in Orange County, unincorporated Orange County.
While our only lead was stuck for clues, we did manage to come across another affiliate who gave us some pretty nice gifts to cheer us up that are not too common anymore at the park. But one of them is probably the closest we'll ever get to facing King Kong yet again. It is Kongfrontation Banana Scented Breath. Now just a recap, I have not smelt this shit, this hunk of shit, in almost 25 years.
I went on Kongfrontation in 2000. That was my last experience. Scared the hell of me, but I remember his breath. And I remember that breath, and I'm like, why the fuck don't they make this an air freshener? Like a spray? Like give me a Febreze so I can, like, when I take a gorilla dump, I can spray it. It smells like his bananas. I'm wondering how it is. I hope it holds up. I love the artwork. This is beautiful. I'm tempted not to burn it, but let's see if that 20-year smell there. It's like smelling Batman cereal.
Oh, God.
Okay, so, oh my God, it even looks like, look at it, looks like, okay. 25 years, let's see. Yep, that's 25 years of bananas. It's only missing the propane, but it's like snorting banana Kong cane. Oh my God, I'm gonna be addicted to this shit. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's a good confrontation. Yeah, I'd recommend this. Buy the shit. Universal, if you're listening, make an air freshener. Hire Febreze. Make this an air freshener. I will buy a shit ton of this stuff. Please do. 10 out of 10. Love it. Thank you. Just put a little propane in it. It'll smell exactly like a ride. Do you know Universal has like an archive, like library that has like documents and blueprints or any of that stuff?
I feel like it should, and then it does. Anytime you request something, you have to request it from the people who are custodians. A lot of things like that would be like something you would bring out for like an event, is knowing who to ask.
There's too many people to mention by name, but you'll see the credits when they roll for 9 minutes. Don't go to the bathroom, or you probably will need to go to the bathroom, but...
It's Nestle Crunch Universal Studios bars with scrunchous chocolate designs. Crunch into King Kong. Sink your teeth into Jaws. Blast Back to the Future. Get all 10 Nestle Crunch Universal Studios bars.
Vacation is a precious thing. It's a chance to put time in. At the one place where heroes rise while inhibitions fall. Where letting go is the best way to hold on.
Panic at Universal.
Universal Orlando, it's more than magic, it's real.
So yeah, unfortunately, it's hard to tell if the photo op Kong was stored there or not. And if it was, and was a tragedy of the fire, that wouldn't surprise me given Kong's resume. Worst case scenario is somebody finds the blueprints to the photo op Kong, and maybe someday someone can possibly reconstruct it. Much like the bust of Kong used in the 50th anniversary. The storage space is more than likely the last known location where these pieces, and hopefully Kong himself, would be stored. There was a scare prior that the photo op Kong ended up being used on a float for Halloween Horror Nights that caught fire. However, that was a totally different beast at 40 feet long, and took place in 1998, 4 years before Kongfrontation's closure. But still, what the hell? Why the fuck is Kong so allergic to fire? This is the 3rd or 4th case of this happening to life-size pieces. What the hell is the fur made of with those things? Is it soaked in kerosene? Do they lube them up with mule piss oil on Skull Island? I'm sorry, but this is so fucking ridiculous. No wonder rip-off creatures like Mighty Piggy Men ended up not liking fire, because look what happened to him in that movie. And the girl didn't even survive that picture.
Everything I hear about this thing makes me like it less. I'm glad I didn't get you a girl.
But to end on a high note, most recently Universal has celebrated their legacy for Kong among others in many ways. For the 30th anniversary at the park, they created a gift shop that housed nostalgia for old rides, including a cute rendition of the Kong photo op. While most people assume this hand is from the ride,
This is the actual prop from the ride. I wish the original ride was real.
Don't
Don't be ridiculous.
These pieces were newly sculpted designs, specifically for this event. Though, I can't help but feel the 3D image of the Kong promotional art might have been taken from the window marquee of Safari Outfitters. And it wouldn't be the last. There was also a 3D marquee displayed at many of the Orlando airports among other props and pieces from Kongfrontation in order to sell the ride when the park opened. And while we're at it, we might as well take a look one more time at Revenge of the Mummy to see if there's any clues of Kongfrontation's whereabouts. Come on this way. Well, while we missed out on the event, the park did provide some new refurbishments of some Kong Easter eggs for guests, including additional pieces in Revenge of the Mummy. As I've mentioned before, in the ride's treasure room house, a wonderfully one-of-a-kind Kong statue sculpted to match the creature's design from the ride. Whoever sculpted it did a fantastic job, and by God, if this ride closes, or there's access to it, I'd love to have it, or a replica made. Though, to be honest, am I the only one who feels like it bears a striking resemblance to the Aurora Kong model kit? Another Easter egg in the ride is the Kong face engraved in the main symbol of the ride, acting as a fiery ape face showing the sense of Kong's anger from his old Orlando home. But the most fascinating piece left from Kongfrontation is not just the basic structure left over at the entrance, but the tracks from the tram itself were left in place in the roof of the building. This was because the tracks were permanently welded onto the roof, that if removed would mean it too would need to go, which Universal refused to do to cut costs. If you ask for a VIP tour at the entrance, the tour provides a lot of answers for questioning Kong fans. And in the original ride's queue, there were other Kong pieces at the front, with some fur samples, designs, and even a wonderful painting of the log chasm hung from the front queue, based on the original film. But since then, it's never been discovered. There was also a stationary set of food stops near the attraction, but they too also didn't last too long. In fact, lineups were so massive that they had to put up shelter tents in order for guests to not get heat stroke. It was that insane. That actually stayed around till Revenge of the Mummy until being removed a couple of years ago. There was also the home video theater that was there for a short period of time in the early 90s when the park opened, which allowed you to participate on a blue screen set and interact with the attractions as a stay-at-home VHS gift, but that attraction was later replaced with a similar Star Trek adventure as seen at Universal Studios Hollywood, until Revenge of the Mummy came out and the entire attraction was gutted to make way for a VIP tour of the roller coaster. This is where you can get a tour of what's left of Kongfrontation and the Easter eggs that Revenge of the Mummy provides. The last rumor I want to clear up is the story that Kong's footprints were implanted into the roads of the Kongfrontation set, were left in the foundation of the stage flooring, and visible in the ride when the lights are on.
Did you hear those footsteps? Oh. I hope he's not following us!
But to this day, I have found no evidence of that being true. But after the Mummy's recent refurbishment, within the remains of Safari Outfitters, a new set of Kong eye captures have been added, which actually, believe it or not, connect to the lore of the Mummy movies with King Kong, meaning Skull Island exists somewhere in the Brendan Fraser Dark Universe.
Oh my god.
Look at that right there, guys. There's a poster of King Kong. 8th wonder of the world. Captured alive. Beauty conquers the beast. $10.
Well, you would come. And these tickets cost me $20.
Museum of Antiques.
Sorry.
Yeah, document this. Photograph these. These are great. I can't really read the stuff, but that's amazing. So there is some nuts. They're starting to respect it. Okay, guys.
You have earned the respect and gratitude of me and my people.
Holy goddamn, Universal! I want to see that movie! King Kong versus the Mummy or the Scorpion King! Make that happen! You already had the script to the first one rip off the 1996 attempted canceled remake, so why the hell not? Come full circle!
It was sort of flippant, very Hollywood, it had the sort of same tone as the Mummy, I guess.
When I saw the Mummy, I thought, did they read the King Kong script?
Outside of the wonderful papers, displays, and Easter eggs, other treasures include this native-looking spear, and even the map to Skull Island itself.
So you know what's funny? Where you're standing is where King Kong used to be. I find that ironic. Alright, these things.
Mr. Sea Denim,
per your last inquiry about the whereabouts of my brother-in-law, I haven't the foggiest. However, thanks to a wonderful bit of foresight of yours truly, I have been able to squirrel away a few precious items that may interest you for a price. Below is a list, so just let me know which ones you want. Stone slab, weird scarab piece, some of Rick's clothes, scorpion bracelet, heavy black book bad, bit of poetry, large metal weapon, mummy wrappings. Jonathan...
it's Evie's brother, Carnahan, yeah.
Carnahan! Wait a minute! Wait, Carnahan, have you set seismic charges at that spot?
I hope this letter finds you well. It seems your interest in the matter is quite in-depth, and the pure fact that you wanted all of my items, and then some, is proof of that. Arriving over the next few days will be the first of possibly many crates, as long as the money keeps flowing in. I have some other business ventures to attend to, so this offloading will help pay a few of my investors.
Can't believe the price of these flea bags.
And is much appreciated. We will keep in touch, and maybe I can give you a few more items in the future. Jonathan Carroll. Wonderful idea. I know I don't have much respect for the dead, but there may be an interesting find right up your alley here in Cairo. I heard more rumblings of a cursed tomb, home of a, well, better off not saying here, but just know it is possibly quite film-worthy. The last of your crates should have just made it there, so this may be the end of our wonderful correspondences. If you are interested in that film-worthy locale, just give me a look up if you can make it back out to Egypt. If I am not there, I may be back in Shanghai at the Imhotep Club. Gotta make money somehow.
Not only are they mentioning all three films, but Kong's canon. There's a Skull Island in this universe.
And the ninth wonder of the world.
Oh, Jonathan, you knew what the hell you were doing. You stole Carl Denham's bit.
I've just got one of those faces.
What a poetic irony that it's right next to where King Kong used to be. Jonathan, you're an asshole. It's pretty clear that Mummy director Stephen Sommers is a huge fan of King Kong and its entire world lore, given his film Deep Rising actually acted as sort of a prologue to a group of people venturing across Skull Island. So regardless whether or not they make that type of film, it's pretty cool to see the director's vision finally come to some form of fruition with the Revenge of the Mummy ride. Kudos to Universal and the design team for that level of detail. There's so many connections to these Brendan Fraser movies that they might as well just put in the whole classic Universal Studios lineup in this place. Oh, come on, I was just kidding! So it's no wonder why Count Dracula's around. Universal has his amulet here and he's brought back from the dead and he wants revenge. I am not touching that. Well, speaking of classics, we got one more stop to make. The final chance of searching for any remains of Kongfrontation was at the newly built Universal Studios Legacy store, that unfortunately just recently closed. But believe it or not, we were in massive luck. First and foremost, the store was absolutely beautiful, acting as both a place to grab retro merchandise and as a museum that respects the park's past with many props and set pieces, from the transporter from The Fly that was in the original climax of the Universal Studios horror makeup show, which if you look closely you can still see the animatronic creature. Ooh. The T-800 costume from Terminator 2 3D, a proton pack from the Ghostbusters Spooktacular, several models and other pieces from Jaws, Jurassic Park, Back to the Future, and way too many more to count. There were Easter eggs all over this goddamn place that I wouldn't be surprised if any Universal fan was able to spot all of them. However, King Kong gets his major dues here, with many never-before-seen photos from the ride, some great merchandise using the original artwork from t-shirts to chocolate bars, which I did a video on a while back, check it out, and even a Kong maquette, which, while not in the ride, is a cool sculpture from the Peter Jackson remake. That's interesting, that's a new one. Kong figure right there. That's not Kongfrontation, but Wow.
Hell, this might have actually been a lost sculpture from 1996, but I doubt it.
When they killed the movie, I called them up and said, send me my model back.
However, as fate would have it, we did manage to find some Kongfrontation props, and it was honestly unexpected, but unbelievably satisfying.
So, I was not knowing what to expect in this tribute store to the old school rides, but something here that's really cool, and it's unbelievable, is one of the diorama models used to present to the builders on the construction of Kongfrontation back in the 80s and 90s. And as you can see, detail is exquisite, so let's take a closer look at these models.
While the original whereabouts of the Encounter model are unknown, to see its East Coast counterpart on a full display was incredible to discover. The details on these, close to 35 years later, is humbling, outstanding in detail, and shows how much dedication and attention the overall set became from its time. The sets showcase the first two pieces from the attraction, from Scene 1 with the derailed explosive elevated tram. Not only could I see how much was added from this to full scale, but God was I getting goosebumps looking at it and memories buried in a 25-year past. It took me right back to the ride in a way I hadn't felt since my last visit in 2000. Or let alone my New York location tour, which I rode the actual Roosevelt Island tram. No! Do not fire! We're too close! Hold your fire! And that wasn't the only two pieces seen there. On display up close was a scaled model of the ride's tram vehicles. That was used by Peter Alexander to demonstrate the ride to investors as a visual guide while the park was being built.
And he's gonna throw you down. And you're gonna sail down. Ah! We're a 70-foot portion. You're getting closer and closer and closer and closer and closer to the ground. At the last moment, the cable holding you stretches to its tautest moment, and boing, you're safe.
Woo! All right, we made it! That was so close I could smell its banana breath. How about you?
By the way, did I mention in this ride that you're actually the hero of the story? Yeah, they show a WWOR special report with you in the tram as Kong attacks, as a special news bulletin.
This is a WWOR special report. All right, here we are.
You are looking at footage taken near the Queensboro Bridge just moments ago, where a tram load of passengers narrowly escaped disaster at the hands of King Kong. At the last moment, the tram operator regained control, leading the stunned passengers to safety. This reporter salutes the bravery and courage of everyone on board the tram as they arrive safely at their destination.
This has been a WWOR special report.
How about that? It looks like we're heroes!
And that alone makes this the greatest ride ever. And seriously, these tram operators are seriously amazing improv actors. Kudos to them. To see these pieces, ironically enough, on the final days of visitation was not just luck, but fate to me. While not any of the full-scale pieces are to be found, not even Kong, I mean hell, there's a picture of the 76 robot at the park's front office, it's cool to see some artifacts well preserved and saved from the ride's legacy.
Now, when I was a kid, if I remember correctly, I actually sat in this row right here or right here, and that's, from my perspective, if I'm facing this way, where I could have met King Kong, and whoa, if you look at it, my hands kind of look like he's grabbing the tram if you look through the lens. So you can see from my little boy perspective right here how big Kong was compared to me, and wow, that's actually a really cool effect when you think about it. Wow. I could be King Kong, just like...
So, what's for the future of King Kong at Universal Studios theme parks? Well, for one thing, we know the giant ape is still going strong. In 2010, Peter Jackson helped Universal in creating a new Kong attraction with King Kong 360 3D, which I reviewed back in Season 2. There's some beautiful facades at the front of the attraction, and even a crushed tram to replicate Kong in a rampage heading back to Skull Island. I actually wrote it the year of its opening, and in fact, it kind of inspired me to get into King Kong, and without it, I wouldn't have done my remake, and I wouldn't have been obsessed, and quite frankly, I wouldn't have this job. And by 2016, Florida follows suit with a new Kong attraction with Skull Island Reign of Kong, ironically right next to Jurassic Park. Again, I've already covered this attraction in more detail, so I would recommend checking out that video.
Well, while we're at it, we might as well do this ride for shits and giggles.
I mean, it wouldn't be a Universal trip without visiting my buddy King Kong up close.
Oh no, it is still happening.
While there's not much in terms of Easter eggs here from the old attractions, seriously, this would be the best place to put some Kongfrontation Easter eggs. There is one piece of lost media that has unfortunately been lost to time regarding the attraction. That being the original plan for the grandiose premiere of the show, which was to showcase Skull Island natives atop the wall, banging drums, and doing a native sacrifice very much like the classic Kong tales of old. It was supposed to be the grandiose return of the 8th wonder of the world to Universal Orlando, but unfortunately was cancelled due to the tragedy of the Pulse nightclub shooting, and to respect the guests' safety, along with mourning the respect of those lost, the ceremony was cancelled and the ride prematurely opened. And while we can ride Reign of Kong all we want and marvel at the set, the details, and the full-scale Kong set pieces in the ride, it still will probably never hold a candle to the original rides that came before, and to this day overall, Kongfrontation's legacy is not just fascinating as the original movie's treasures, but a whole nother level of research and continuing discoveries over 30 years since their operations. If there are people with more knowledge than I on the artifacts, memorabilia, and archives of the ride and other means in these attractions, please be sure to contribute to the clues in the comments below. The Florida attraction was my favorite ride on my first visit to the park, and without it and other classics, along with the theming of riding the movies and filmmaking in general, it's highly unlikely I would be inspired to walk this path as I have done for decades. And for Kongfrontation, it comes in at a still loving 10 out of 10. The ride may be gone forever, but its legacy, whether it be fire or closures to cut costs, will never die at Universal Studios theme parks. Well, with Kong reigning supreme here in Orlando, it seems appropriate to bridge between Florida and New Zealand. What the hell was that?
Precautions. Like you said, don't want to draw attention.
I didn't mean that literally, honey. Although, I did break that sword in my neck, so thanks.
So, what next?
Well, next up is Middle Earth.
The universe?
No, New Zealand. Why, in a rush?
No, actually. You know, it's been a while since I've had some fun. You didn't think we were gonna drive all the way to Florida and not... Come on, let's go play the theme park. Let's go!
Whoa! Thanks for watching Part 4! Don't forget to check out the Peter Jackson remake in Part 5 next time! They made a ride based on the Jeff Goldblum movie? Huh? Use the trigger button for the grenades!
I'd rather use a real gun.
Whoa, would you rather play Terminator? Okay, Terminator it is!